If you want to learn Mandarin and you're an American, you live here in the USA, or there in the USA, because I'm actually south of the USA in Mexico right now, and you aren't going to go to study at a university in China, then skip the HSK. Don't worry, I'll link some more videos about what to study and that go into detail and what to study and how at the end of this video. Okay, so I get it. You're an HSK fanboy, and why wouldn't you be? Just look at the HSK propaganda. HSK level 1, you can understand and use simple words and phrases. HSK level 2, you can communicate simply and directly on topics that you're familiar with. HSK level 3, you can conduct basic communication in work, daily life, and study. You can manage most communication while traveling in China. HSK level 4, you can discuss a wide range of topics in Mandarin Chinese and communicate with Chinese native speakers fluently in common situations. HSK level 5, you can read Chinese newspapers, watch Chinese TVs, Chinese movies, and you can do a whole speech in Mandarin. HSK level 6, you can understand what you read and hear and express yourself fluently in written and oral Chinese. You've made it! No, not quite. Okay, my name's Kwadwo. I'm a Mandarin language coach. For the past 3.5 years, I've coached adults how to accelerate their Chinese, right? That adults that live in China and that live in the US. And by the way, I've lived in China for 14 years, and those HSK level descriptions, while they exist, they are not true. I'm sorry. And this is part of why I just feel like the HSK lies, and you should not learn HSK with the goal of hitting those levels. You might, maybe, be able to hit those levels of fluency according to the HSK levels if you live in China. But most of the people I've coached in the past live in China and they can't get there. Let me tell you what's wrong with this. But yeah, if that were true, plenty of people who work in China and have studied the HSK and have lived there for like 3 years will be able to speak and communicate fluently on a wide variety of topics, but it just ain't so. So I'll explain to you why in a moment, but first my own personal history. I lived in China since 2009 all the way up until 2020, and I do speak good Mandarin. You can see another one of my videos right up there. But look, that good Mandarin came from struggling to speak, as in I was scared to speak, I didn't know enough, and so I had to jump into day-to-day life situations and speak my heart out and grapple with what was being said to me, process it, learn it actively, and go out there for some more pain and punishment. And that, over time, not to say that would take you for 13 years to learn, but it would take you a bit to learn, and actively applying yourself, learning the language. Maybe you could say you're quote unquote fluent. Oh, I hate that word. After a year or two. But listen, that's been my experience. Persistence despite the suck. A little word that I like to call grit, expressed and applied day in and day out. That is what gets you fluent. I'm not fluent, by the way. I am functionally, communicatively fluent, meaning I can say whatever I need to say. I can't go be a lawyer. I can't go be a doctor. But like if the toilet all of a sudden floods and there's poop water floating across the bathroom floor, up and over the threshold, into the bedroom, and going towards the kitchen, not that that happened to me before, but I could call up the plumber really quick and tell him, and if there's a crazy accident in front of me, I could be a witness and testify. 是真的，我大概的中文水平是这么好的。Now for like the teacher part in me, I'm a certified Chinese teacher. Here's why the HSK lies to you, okay? We're not even gonna get into why I don't like the HSK personally, but well, we will. Right now, though, you need to know that a book by itself can never give you levels and tell you that you can communicate, let alone fluently. You're not going to get there, okay? First of all, there are plenty of university students in China who have HSK 5 or 6 because it's required for their degree to do a master's or bachelor's, and they can hardly communicate, right? But a book itself can get you to communicate. Comment if you understand in the comments below, but the problem is that because a book is written by master's degree holders, PhD degree holders, right? And then that book is submitted to a publishing house before it's published, right? The grammar that it teaches you is just that, grammar, okay? And they do so cohesively from chapter 1 to chapter infinity with a very limited set of vocabulary. Sure, I know the old HSK or the current HSK as of June 20, what day is it? 28th? in 2021, you start out with 150 HSK vocabulary words in level 1, and then you get 300 in level 2, and then it doubles for level 3, 600 words, and so on and so forth until you have 5,000 words that you can use off the tip of your tongue at HSK level 6. The problem with that is in books designed to teach, there is always a big gap between the words they use, which are handpicked by professionals. They say they want to give you fluency, but really what they're doing is making sense and having cohesiveness from beginning, beginner level, chapter 1, to the end, chapter 82,000. Okay, those vocabulary sets that were hand-picked for the HSK are not the same vocabulary sets that are used in everyday life. Sure, there's overlap, some overlap, but let me tell you, anecdotally, is that the word? From my personal experience and from many other people's. And if this has happened to you, you can comment below, please, and tell the uninitiated that no matter how much you study in a book, you will still go out into day-to-day life. And number one, the speed, you won't understand the speed as well. And the vocabulary they use, you still won't get it. That's what happens. So I don't like the HSK. Well, the HSK, nor any other book, can prepare you to speak fluently. My gosh. And the reason I don't like the HSK is because somebody will look at that, especially if you're here in the US or there in the US, because I'm in Mexico right now, like 4 hours south of the US. If you're not going to go to China and you want to speak fluently, or at least in a functionally, communicatively way, I don't know. Don't worry about my English. I'm trying here. It's really late. So the HSK won't get you there, nor will any other book. You need to communicate with real Chinese people. You're gonna go study the HSK. I see that the levels are very clear, right? And the vocabulary that you're supposed to learn at the end of every level, supposedly you will have mastered it, it's very clear. They're clear milestones. So I get that you can be excited. And of all the things that are out there for you to choose to study in Mandarin, the HSK, you can latch onto it because it gives you those clear levels of success, but it just ain't that way, friend. So don't be deceived with the HSK. Oh, and you might not know this, but way back before 2009, maybe 2010, there was actually an older HSK, and that HSK had 11 levels. Level 11 there was much harder than the current HSK. Again, this video was made in June of 2021, and basically that HSK, the higher bracket of the HSK, was just too hard, and people didn't want to take it. Naturally, they got discouraged, and the good old HSK test makers, well, they want you to take the HSK and subscribe to the Chinese dream. No, this isn't a political video. But, so yeah, the HSK was made more simple. Now it has only 6 levels. And soon, if you haven't heard, in 2022, they will come out with in March of 2022. Again, the information could change, but right now this is accurate as tweeted by the official HSK account. New HSK level 7 through 9 will come out. So after coaching so many people, I can say hundreds, not over 200, but definitely close. 200 adults who are independent Chinese learners, some inside of China, some outside of China. I can coach you too if you want. That link is in the description below. But after coaching so many people, here's what I can tell you. No matter what you do, if you study the HSK or another book like Living Language Mandarin Chinese, I like that series, or Integrated Chinese, like that series, almost love that series too. At about the intermediate level, you have learned as much vocabulary as you need. If you must go study the HSK, against my advice, then know that once you get to the end of HSK 3 and you actually know it, that's about as much grammar as you need to communicate with Chinese people. Again, the issue why you can't communicate with Chinese people is because the limited vocabulary set that's presented inside the HSK does not have much to do with the real vocabulary sets that Chinese people use in day-to-day life for things that are important to them. For that, I highly advise you that even at a lower intermediate level, you make the jump and learn from Chinese media. There's a reason they call it pop culture, friend. It's because it's popular. So I'm talking about Chinese TV shows, Chinese movies. You can look at Chinese manga. You can look at Chinese magazines that are of interest to you. Yes, you will have to struggle, but if you stay with the stuff that deals with the real things in life, the day-to-day things in life, I'm talking to the cosmopolitan, Marie Claire things in life. Yeah, those are the magazines. If you're not a girl, maybe you don't know what those are. But, the men's health kind of things in day-to-day life, then those will help you. You're going to be able to connect on a better, more easily level with Chinese people. And that's what you want, right? Is to communicate. Care mostly about speaking, there you go. If you feel like, oh, but I really want to learn writing, understand that the saying goes that we use about a second or third grade level when we communicate chat online, and I bet you it's about the same. Actually, I know it's about the same after living in China for 12 years. It's the same with Chinese folks. Tap or click the screen right there if you want to learn my method for learning Mandarin. I got some videos lined up on a playlist for you, and right there is where you can apply to my Chinese accelerator to help you make the most progress on your own and get to speaking comfortably as quickly as possible.